Hi, I'm Regular Zach, and this is my limited set review for the Magic the Gathering Spider-Man set / Through the Omenpaths set. If you haven't heard, the Magic the Gathering Spider-Man set is going to look like this in paper, but this on digital. So it's going to have all Magic like names and artwork, while all the paper ones will be Spider-Man ones. Super confusing. Anyway, I put both of the pictures up so all of you can figure out what you need to know. If you primarily play on Arena, this is going to be very helpful. And if you primarily play in paper, this will be very helpful. So this set review is talking specifically about Limited. So I'm talking about Draft and Sealed, nothing about Commander or Standard. So we are focusing just on Limited. And I am going to be saying all the names of cards that are like this, although Through the Omenpaths ones, because most people, and myself included, are going to be engaging with the set through draft on Arena. That's like the #1 place to draft these days. And speaking of that, the draft format is changing slightly, I'm fairly positive, for this set. So instead of having 8 players and you all draft 1 card, you're going to be playing 4 players in a pod and you draft 2 cards. So it changes some things just a little bit. I don't know if we're also going to be having 8-player pods pick 1 as like that's accessible, or everything is just going to be pick 2 4-player pods. Nobody really knows at this point. We will know in a couple weeks. But today I'm talking about all the black cards, and we're going to be putting them all on a scale from A to F. So A's are bombs. So the best cards in your deck, the coolest ones, the ones you show off to your friends. B's are cards that actively pull you into black. C's are cards that make up the most of your deck. They're just kind of bread and butter stuff. D's are cards that you hope you never have to play. You know, they sneak into your deck every once in a while, but you hope you never have to play any D's. And then F's are just the worst. These are cards that don't even work in draft, and you should never put them in your deck under any circumstance. Just like get them out of there. So we are starting off with Common Crook. It is 1 and a black for a 2/2 creature human rogue villain at common, and it says when this creature dies, create a treasure token. This is a card we've seen in Limited before. It was in the Final Fantasy set. It worked pretty well there, but villain is a specific art, like there's a villain archetype, so that actual keyword matters. Or keyword, that the creature type matters. But yeah, this is like totally fine card. It's like a C. It plays nicely, and the fixing will be pretty helpful if you try to splash some funky stuff, which you'll see at some point. Next up, we have Merciless Enforcers, which is 1 and a black for a 2/1 creature human mercenary villain at common. It has lifelink, and it also has an activated ability. You can pay 3 and a black. This creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. So I do like 2 mana, like 2 power lifelink creatures in Limited, but usually 2/2s are a bit better just because they can brawl a bit more. They don't just kind of fall over to, well, anything with 1 power. So that's not super exciting. And the ability seems like it's not really going to do much, but you know, it could sneak into my deck. Something aggressive would be okay with it, but probably like a C- because it doesn't necessarily jive with everything, but it is a villain, so, you know, there's that at least. Next up, we have Scorpion Sting, which is 1 and a black for an instant at common. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Sweet. That's great. Yeah, this is like a B-. This is a great card. This is going to kill so many things. It's going to sting all the spiders, and I love it. This is a great card. Probably like the best black common. We'll see if something else pushes it off the pedestal, but I think this is probably the best one. Next up, we have Clandestine Work, which is 2 and a black for a sorcery. Surveil 2, then draw 2 cards. You lose 2 life. These cards always kind of feel like they're in the middle of whether you like them or not. People who like them play them a lot, and people who don't play them. And I'm usually one of the people that's like, it's fine. I don't love them. I usually get card advantage like in different ways, or with just like these pseudo divination cards. I think divination isn't very good anymore in Limited anyway, and so then this is like a black version, which you do get more card selection, but you lose life when you do it. It's totally fine, but they don't usually land themselves in my deck, so I'm gonna give this like a C to like a C-. Like, it's okay. Next up, we have Wekdu, Midnight Hunter, which is 2 and a black for a 2/2 legendary creature insect villain at common. It has flash, flying, and mayhem for a single black. So mayhem is like the new fixed madness. So if you've discarded this card this turn, you can cast it for its mayhem cost, which is a single black. Awesome. This one is also very special because it's like the only flash creature in the set. So the timing restrictions do apply. for the Mayhem cards. For Madness, that was not the case. So you could flash in any of your Madness creatures, and that was a kind of big issue with Madness. Mayhem fixed that, but I think this is the only one that can actually be flashed in with Mayhem. I don't think there's anything else that has flash. So that makes this pretty interesting. You get to kind of ambush stuff or use some of your discard outlets on your opponent's turn, because most of the time, if you're in a Mayhem deck, you're going to want to you want to discard your Mayhem cards to cast them, and that means that you don't really want to activate those discard abilities on your opponent's turn, and this card makes it so that you could. And that will definitely come up. That will definitely be important. So I think this card's probably like a C+ because of that. This would be great in those decks. 1 mana for a 2/2 flyer. That's sick. That's a really nice deal. Next up, we have Bane-marked Leonin, which is 2 and a black for a 2/3 creature symbiote cat villain. At common, it has Death Touch. It says when this creature enters, mill 2 cards. Cool. Like a 3-mana 2/3 Death Touch, mill 2 cards. Like it's, yeah, milling a couple cards is nice. I like it when they tack on a little bit of life gain in there. That's always a nice little extra bonus. But yeah, this seems like a C, like a nice bread and butter. If you're doing stuff with the graveyard, it's really nice to have. The Death Touch tacked on here is also kind of nice. Just like, yep, you're not really getting through this cat. It's going to be eating your stuff. And you're probably in a place where you don't really care if it goes to the graveyard because you might have some recursion of some kind, just because you're milling already. Yeah, these are really nice cards. Yeah, it's good. Next up, we have Chaldea Brawlers. Yeah, it's a 3 and a black for a 3/4 creature human rogue villain at common. It says you can just discard a card. No mana associated, just discard a card. This creature gets +1/+0 and gains menace until end of turn, and you can activate only as a sorcery. This is really cool. So this card really enables the Mayhem stuff because you don't have to spend any mana to discard, right? A lot of cards care about, like, if you're rummaging, you have to you have to do certain things like pay mana in a spell. It cares about doing that. But like the fact that this is just 0 mana, discard your Mayhem card, you get to cast it, you get all of your mana for the turn to play the Mayhem thing. That's pretty sick. And then this thing, it becomes a 4/4 menace. That part's like not as exciting. The costless discard or free discard is great. In the end, it's probably just like, it's a C that I'm looking to see if it's higher at like a C+. There's a lot of ways to discard in this set, but I do think this one could end up being a pretty good one. But I'm probably going to stick with C instead of like, normally I'd kind of look at this and be like, that's like a D. So this looks playable and it's nice. Next up, we have Tethix, Gift of Malice. It's 4 and a black for a 4/5 legendary creature symbiote villain. At common, it has Death Touch, so just a big chunky Death Toucher. And then you can pay 2 and a black to exile this card from your graveyard. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. It gains Death Touch until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Yeah, this one seems all right. I wish it did a little bit more when it entered. It is just kind of like a French vanilla big chunky creature, which is fine, I guess. And the decks that want to like reanimate stuff will probably want to have this card around as well, because if you mill it, you get to like, put some counters on some things. But I feel like we had some stuff like this that did very similar things in Tarkir Dragonstorm, and it was always like you just wanted to do other stuff. Like it was like, oh, this is kind of in your hand, or, it's just not that good. So I think this could be a D. It probably has a place in this format, but I don't know. I don't know. I just don't really like it that much. I think it's not going to be that great, but it's probably going to beat the crap out of me. So just wait for that. But no, I'm going to give this a D for Venom. Sorry, Venom. I think there's bigger and better things to be playing. Next up, we have Damning Caress, which is 4 and a black for a sorcery at common. It says, this spell costs 2 less to cast if you control a villain, and destroy target creature, you gain 2 life. Sweet. 3 mana, easy to cast murder. I guess it's sorcery speed, so that's kind of a bummer. Don't like the sorcery speed part, but kills anything. You gain 2 life. This is like a B- as well. This is like another one of those like good cards that are, it's gonna be eating stuff and you're gonna be gaining life and it's gonna be great. And you're gonna look for them and need them. So villain decks were definitely like this. If you're not in a villain deck, you probably will still play it, but not be as happy about it. Probably goes down quite a bit if you're not like heavier black, or like at least villain focused. Next up, we have the uncommons, Aggressive Symbiosis, which is 1 and a black for an enchantment aura. Enchant a creature. Enchanting creature gets +1/+1 and has menace and is a symbiote in addition to its other types. Okay, so that's basically the text on it. You just give a creature for 2 mana, +1/+1 and menace. And it also says you may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs. So that is pretty nice. I like that a lot. And the biggest thing with auras is that they're so flimsy. Like you put so much card advantage into just one creature, and then if it dies, you're just like down so many cards. But being able to get some card advantage back, I know it says you have to discard a card, but it could be a land or it could be a mayhem card, which you just get to cast. So this gives you a little bit of extra reach and all the, well, it gives menace. It doesn't give reach. Ha 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 ha. But you know what I mean. Being able to recast the card over and over from your graveyard seems really annoying for your opponent, and just turning every different creature into a threat is awesome. So I think this is like a C+. I like this aura. I like auras in general, but I think this one's really cool. Next up, we have Nil, Vessel of Valgavoth, which is 2 and a black for a 2/2 legendary creature human villain at uncommon. It says when Nil enters, return target villain card from your graveyard to your hand, and villain spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. This is great. This reminds me a lot of Stiltskin. Wait, what was it? No, not Stiltskin. That was a Final Fantasy thing. There was a card in Outlaws of Thunder Junction that would return something to your hand and then made all your creatures cheaper. This is obviously very villain focused, so it's not nearly as good as just getting whatever you want back. But it does seem like black has a nice lean into the villain thing. So I'm sure you're going to hit something, and especially when some of your 2-drops also are villains. You get things back, play them for super cheap. If you can enweb this somehow and like return it to your hand and then recast it, that could be kind of fun. Though black doesn't really touch the enweb colors. But still, I like that, and I like this being around the mill decks. So this card's going to be pretty good. I think it's probably close to a B. Next up, we have Remorseless Coup, which is 2 and a black for an instant at uncommon. Put target creature on the bottom of its owner's library, and then you lose 2 life unless you control a villain. Okay, so you're putting it on the bottom of its owner's library in a black? That feels very color pie breaky. That's usually like a white thing to do, or just kind of a strange, just very strange. Okay, sure. This does get rid of anything. That's really nice. You don't have to worry about any sort of like toughness or anything like that. It's also instant speed. So and losing 2 life if you don't have a villain isn't that big a deal. So this is, this looks like it's just a B, like a straight up B. This looks awesome. Great place to start in black too. Just like, yeah, I'm going to put stuff on the bottom of your library because there is a reanimation thing you can do in this set. And it's just like, no, you can't. It's just gone. Always nice. Always nice to just say, put it on the bottom. Next up, we have Miasmic Mist, which is 1 black for a sorcery. It has Mayhem for 3 and a black. And it says all creatures get -2/-2 until end turn. If this spell's Mayhem cost was paid, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 instead. So this is pretty cool, because a lot of the time we do get this Miasmic Mist, and you're just like, -2/-2 to everything. What do I do? Like, what kind of deck am I playing? Like, is it just always like blue-black control? Is that the only deck that wants to play this? But now, you could play this in the Rakdos Mayhem deck and just be like, no, I'm just going to discard this and just wipe your board and none of mine. Though, to be fair, it doesn't always wipe, like... It doesn't always wipe everything. It feels like it's going to do a bunch of stuff. Sometimes, like, post-combat, it could be kind of cool. Or, I guess, pre-combat, it'd be really cool. Because then you get to attack into all their little teeny creatures, but then they probably just don't chump you. So it probably has a place in certain decks. I'm probably just going to give it a C-, though. It looks a lot more playable than in like other sets. Because oftentimes this card seems to wheel a lot and just kind of goes to like a D level. But C- because it has a little bit more flexibility, but probably it could fall down to a D as well. We'll see. I'll keep an eye on this card. I like it. I like that it gives you the option to be like, hey, maybe you are going to do the whole Rakdos Mayhem thing and just hurt your opponent. I don't know. Anyway, next up we have Scorvus Ames, Crime Lord, which is 3 and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature, Scorpion Human Villain at uncommon. It has Death Touch. It says at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, target creature you control connives. So I really like... Oh, conniving is where you you get to draw a card, then discard a card, and then if you discard a non-land card, you put a counter on the creature. Now, I really like that you can connive on whoever you want. And conniving is a big like blue-black thing, but it also obviously works with Rakdos, because then you can do the Mayhem thing too. And conniving on whatever you want, where it's like, I don't really need the counter on Scorvus, but I would really like it on this other creature. That is also nice. Plus, blue has a lot of like modified creature things, so the connive thing helps in that deck as well. I think there's a lot of like synergy here. There's a lot of cool stuff we can do. But at the same time, at your end step, when a creature died, you get to do something. Ability tends not to work out super well. Like, it just doesn't really happen the way that you want. You do get the first jab where you're like, okay, I attack, and then you don't know this is coming down, so you like trade, and then I play this, and then I get to connive. But like, even when the cards would say like draw a card, they weren't very good. So I don't know if connive is just better because you do get like some counters and stuff, but in general, this ability has not been fantastic. So I'm going to say this is like a C, but it could be almost worse than that. There seems to be like a lot of potential because I like conniving everywhere. But the whole morbid, when a creature dies, do something at your end step has just never really panned out. And I don't think that this is the card that's going to make it pan out. So, you know, it could just be like a C-. Oof. Yeah, it kind of lives in weird 4-mana land of like, what do you do? I don't know. Anyway. It seems really exciting, but I think it is kind of worse than we were originally hoping. All right, next up is Prison Break. It's 4 and a black for a sorcery at uncommon. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, and it has Mayhem for 3 and a black. Perfect. This is exactly what we needed for all of our mill decks. All the cards that say like mill stuff, or there's like some green cards that do it too, would be interesting to play like a green-black deck, even though it's not really supported. With this card, is that like a secret mill reanimate deck where you just don't play any gold cards necessarily? I don't know. Seems kind of interesting, but I really like this. I like reanimator decks, and the fact that you can make it a little bit cheaper is nice, especially in a deck that wants to discard cards because you're probably trying to discard your bombs so you can use Prison Break to get them back if you can't mill them. So you probably have a bunch of different ways to discard this and make it cheaper. Yeah, and the counter goes a long way. This is like a C+, could go into the B range if there's enough bombs. But yeah, because there isn't a designated, like, usually this is a green-black deck, and because there isn't really a green-black deck, like, flashing lights at you saying, hey, we play green-black, it makes me a little bit more hesitant to say that this is going to be, like, a big, real archetype. But still, there's a lot of good, like, blue-black cards that are huge and really expensive, too. Maybe it'll be like you connive and you play some crazy blue-black cards. I actually like that a lot. Maybe that's more of what we're doing. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to switch it up. I said it was originally like a C+, but let's give this just a stone B and say we're playing blue-black Reanimator. Because that's probably what this actually wants to do. Ooh, okay. I didn't even notice that when I was looking at these cards earlier. All right. Next up, we have Crobel, Envy of the Bog. Nope, not Envy. It's Envoy. Envoy of the Bog. It's a 4 and a black for a 4/4 legendary creature, Spider Human Hero at uncommon. It has Menace. And says whenever a creature you control attacks alone, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then you can surveil X, where X is the number of counters on that creature. This is pretty cool. 5 mana 4/4, you attack with this creature with Menace by itself, becomes a 5/5. Immediately you get your 5 mana 5/5. Then you can surveil 1. That is pretty nice. There are some things that care about Menace specifically, which could be kind of interesting to run into. It's kind of a weird place to put it because oftentimes this ability is in like green-white. But this does kind of look like it wants to be in that blue-black reanimator deck we were talking about because we're surveilling and we're putting counters on one specific creature. And this is also pretty big by itself. I don't know. This is like a C+. I like what's happening here. It's so different, you know? It just looks like we're putting a bunch of different cards together. It just feels so non-black, which I don't know. I like this. This is cool. Sweet card. C+ for Crobble. Next up, we have the rares. Starting off with Luis, Pompous Pillager, which is X black for a 2/1 legendary creature vampire villain at rare. It has lifelink. And it says, Luis enters with X +1/+1 counters on him. And when Luis enters, he deals X damage to target opponent. So I really like this, that it's just like, hey, if you just play it for 2 mana, it's a 2/1 with lifelink, sure. But as the game scales, you can just make it bigger. And it's not just strictly a Hydra where it's like, it's a 0/0 and you have to play it for more, which always bugs the crap out of me. It's always so annoying when you're like, oh, yeah, X, you're like looking at all your mana, you're like, X is 3? Okay, that's not that exciting. I thought it was going to be much more exciting. Okay, well, my creature's not that big. It's just it's a 3/3 for 5 mana. Like, I don't like that feeling. So the fact that this already comes as just a 2/1 body and you get to put extra counters, and you just basically, like if you draw this late and you have a bunch of mana, you're just like, you're dead. I deal whatever, 7? Like, that's crazy. So I really like the potential for this card. Plus, he's dealing the damage, so you're gaining that life when it enters. I don't know, lots of really cool things with this. It's probably just like an A-. Like, this card just seems sweet. It just like does a lot of stuff for you. I just like that it fits the curve really nicely. It's strong. Double black is kind of annoying, but I don't know. I like this. Next up, we have Rilex, the Accursed. It's 2 and a black for a 2/3 legendary creature, Symbiote Soldier Hero at rare. It has Flash and Menace. It says whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Yeah. So you get to flash this in if one of your creatures is dying or something's happening, or, you know, even if you're just ambushing somebody because it's a 2/3, that's really nice. But drawing a card every time one of your creatures dies, that's really good. Yeah, this is also just like a B+ to A- level thing. This is probably just another A. I'm just going to give it another A-. I'm just getting really, really generous here with these black cards. You get an A- and you get an A-. Yeah, this is going to be great. I like it a lot. Yeah, it's so strong. Next up, we have Duskmourn's Claim. It's 2 and a black for an enchantment at rare. It says at the beginning of your end step, 2 target players each reveal the top card of their library. They each lose life equal to the mana value of the card revealed by the other player. Then they each put the card they revealed into their hand. Okay, so this is very similar to Bob, Dark Confidant, where at the beginning of your upkeep, you reveal the top card of your library, you put it into your hand, and you lose life equal to that mana value. Now, with Bob, you get to kind of obviously choose your deck and decide how much life you're willing to lose on a certain card. With this card, it's just kind of whatever your opponent's playing, and then so you kind of want to play expensive stuff so you can dome them, but you also hope that they're playing really cheap stuff so that you don't lose too much life. It's a really bizarre card. I don't think we want to play this in draft. I think that this is actually just a card for Commander, right? Like, this would be really fun if you were playing with multiple players, so then you could make 2 other players play the game. Like, hey, do you guys want to draw cards? And then you like force them to do it. But in draft, I don't really want to be giving my opponents cards. Like, that doesn't sound good. And I don't want to be losing life for that. And I don't, you know, the only reason that the life is worth losing is because I'm the only one getting cards. But if my opponent's also getting cards, it's just too chaotic. I don't have enough control over it, and I don't really like it. So I don't think you should play this card. I think it's probably bad. It seems funny, but not in draft. All right, next up, we have The House Grows Hungry, which is 2 and a black for an enchantment saga at rare. It has 3 chapters. It says, destroy target creature. Second chapter, each player may discard a card. Each player who doesn't loses 3 life. And the third chapter is exile any number of target players' graveyards. All right, I think this is probably like a B or a B plus, just coming down, killing something. You both discard a card. Hopefully you get to mayhem something out, and then exiling their graveyard could be helpful. But ultimately this just looks like a sorcery speed, 3 mana, kill one of their creatures, which is good. That's a B level card. That's great. I like it a lot. Yeah, nice. Next up, we have Wrench, Speedway Saboteur, which is 3 black for a 2/3 legendary creature human rogue villain at rare. It says when Wrench enters, look at the top 9 cards of target opponent's library, exile 2 of them face down, then put the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. You may play the exiled cards for as long as they remain exiled. Mana of any type can be spent to cast spells this way. Obviously this is Black Cat, so the 9 cards is 9 lives. That's the thing that you know, they like to do with cats a lot. But a 5 mana 2/3, no abilities, you know, like it's like a spell that I guess you just really have to think about it. It's a spell that leaves a 2/3 body. So for a 5 mana spell, and I get to look at 9 of their cards, which is a big chunk of their deck, and steal the 2 best ones. All right, I still think that's good, I guess. It is good. It's good. But man, the body is so sad. Such a little teeny tiny body. 5 mana for a 2/3 feels so rough. Ugh. It really makes me want to, I think it's just like a C+. Like, I think it's a good card. You draw 2 cards, but I don't know. It's probably better than I'm thinking, but just, man, the 2/3 really throws me off. Yeah. C+. I'm going to stick with it. C+ for Wrench. Even though you do get to... You just don't know if your opponent's cards are going to be as good as yours. Like, looking at 9 cards from your library and playing those, much better than your opponent's, because your cards are in your deck, which work better with your deck. If you get your opponent's cards... it could be a bunch of crap that like doesn't work with your cards, and so it's also not very good. So it's definitely different than drawing cards from your own deck. Yeah, I don't know. C+. Next up, we have Villainous Wrath, which is 3 black for a sorcery at rare. It says target opponent loses life equal to the number of creatures they control, then destroy all creatures. Buddy. That's brutal. This is like opposite Fumigate, basically. Instead of you gaining life equal to the creatures that died, this is like, hey, did you have a bunch of creatures on the battlefield? Well, you lose a bunch of life, and they're all gone. Gross removals, or board wipe. And this is really like the board wipe of the set. So, this is scary. It's a scary board wipe for sure. Could just kill you on the spot. If your opponent casts it. I don't know why I always think my opponent's casting... Well, actually, no. I know exactly why I think my opponent's always casting board wipes. Is because my opponent is usually the one doing that, as opposed to me. So, yeah, my opponent's going to kill me with this. It's going to happen a lot. I know, it's going to suck. It's like really trying to teach you overcommitting into a board wipe is really bad, because you might just straight up die. Ugh. Anyway, great card. A for the Wrath. Next up, we have the Mythics. This is the Terminus of Return. It's 1 and black for a legendary artifact Terminus Stone at Mythic. It is indestructible, and you can tap it to pay black. Sorry, you can tap it to gain black, and then you can pay 7 mana, 6 and a black, and tap it. Exile a creature you control. You get to harness the Terminus of Return, which means it gets its origin ability, which is at the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I don't know. Do we really want to play like a 2 mana rock? Like, yeah, I guess. The 7 mana exile one of your creatures is good. It is indestructible. It does return something every single turn. It just seems kind of slow. I wonder if we'd rather just have, like, there's some other Reanimator stuff that seems like maybe a bit better. I don't know. Is this card good? I feel like it's a D. If you're ramping into something, if you're playing this as a mana rock, awesome. That's what it's supposed to be. Do you want to be doing that? I don't know. It doesn't really fix your colors, so that makes me a little less excited about it. But I think the ultimate version of this, like, just feels a bit win more if you're exiling your own creatures. And then it just takes so many turns for you actually to win the game. Maybe you just can't really do this. I don't know. It kind of seems like a D to me. I don't think this is great. I'd rather play some of those bigger effects that like just actually do the thing right away. You know what I mean? They seem much more explosive and much more like snowball, like actually kill your opponent as opposed to this snowbally thing, which takes a bit longer. Yeah, let's just give this a D and move on to Vigo, Enforcer of Ig's Crossing, which is 2 and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature, human hero villain at Mythic. It says when Vigo enters, return target creature card with mana value 1 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. 1 or less, okay. And then you can transform it by paying 3 black, red, green. You transform into Vigo, End of Ig's Crossing, which is a giant scary monster thing. It's a 5/5 legendary creature symbiote hero villain. It has menace, trample, and haste. It says whenever Vigo attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw X cards. Then you may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is the sacrificed creature's mana value. So this is kind of a weird card, right? So we have a 3 mana 3/3 that gets back a 1-drop. But like we don't have a lot of black 1-drops. I don't think we have a lot of 1-drop creatures in general anyway. There's like 1 in red. Maybe there's 1 in green. Actually, I don't even think they're red. I don't even know. I can't even think of what we're really getting back for this mana value 1 or less thing. That must be more of a constructed thing. Because in draft, it feels like not very good. So this just feels like a 3 mana 3/3. Or it feels like a giant 6 mana 5/5. This part is pretty cool. Like haste, menace, trample. But you're sacrificing big creatures to draw a bunch of cards and then play another creature for free. So like that isn't terrible, but it does feel like counterintuitive in draft. Like sacrificing your own big creatures feels weird. You could sacrifice smaller ones just to draw cards, and then like maybe you sacrifice a 2-drop and then you draw 2 cards and play another 2-drop from your hand. But like that doesn't really feel what the card wants to be doing. I think this part of it is really scary. This is probably like the best part of it. Ultimately, this is probably like a B. I don't think we can put this in the A range. I don't think it's a little too funky, a little too cutesy. If the front side did more, I'd be a lot happier. But I just don't think it does enough. And with this card, you can play this part, or you can play this card, or you can play this and transform it into this. So you have 3 different ways you can get there. But even with all that, it's probably like a B. It's not terrible, but it scares me a little bit. Some of the other ones seem a little bit better. Yeah. Anyway, next up we have Egrix. Wow, that is really hard to say. The Bile of Bulwark, which is 3 black for a 4/4 legendary creature symbiote spider hero at Mythic. It has Death Touch and Lifelink, and says whenever Egrix attacks, until end of turn, you may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you may play cards from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, you may pay life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. So this basically just gives you a 1-turn Bolas's Citadel. So you attack with this thing. It gains you some life, which is pretty good. Your opponent probably wants to trade off with it if they can. But the fact that you're gaining life off of this and then using life to draw/play more cards is really cool. Very powerful card. So I'm gonna give this like an A-. I would like to be able to gain as much life as possible in this deck. And the fact that it only works when you're attacking, if this is attacked. So yes, you can do it in multiple turns, but I'm assuming that majority of the time you get 1 shot. You get to do it once. Even if this dies, you can still do the ability after combat, and you have like 1 turn to do it, which is like Yawgmoth's Will, right? So that's good. Yeah, that's really good. A-. And we have 1 more card. It's called Hex of Undeath. It is 6 and a black for a sorcery at Mythic. It says return up to 6 target creature cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. Makes a little bit more sense. That seems a little awkward, but obviously it's Behold the Sinister 6. So 6 is obviously really important. So they put 6 in the mana cost and 6 down here. that's why they did that. But 7 mana returns 6 creatures that have different names, which majority of the time we will have different names in limited. This seems big and good. Like, I think I like this card a lot more than the Soul Stone. And I know that most, or the Terminus of Return. Now, I know that I usually say, oh, really big, expensive cards, I want to make sure that they can do something early and then do something late. Like, obviously, the Terminus of Return does that. The Soul Stone can, you know, be played early and then gets better late, all that stuff. But I think the impact on this card is so much bigger and scarier than the gradual, you know, get one thing after return, after return, after return, that I think I just like this better. Yeah, just 7 mana, bring everything back all at once. It's basically like Living Death. And, yeah. Or what is it? Rise of the Dark Realms. It's kind of like that, except for you don't get your opponent's cards. So, yeah, I think this card is awesome. A-level card. Very scary. Big, heavy hitter in like your blue-black Reanimator deck. That's what we're talking about. Dimir Reanimator. It's our time to shine. But anyway, folks, this is what I've thought about all the black cards for the Magic the Gathering Spider-Man set / through the Omenpaths. Tell me what you think in the comments below and what cards I was completely wrong about, what I have no idea what I'm talking about, or if you agree with me on anything. Hopefully, many things. But anyway, folks, thank you all so much, and I will see you all next time. All right, bye.